On top of that, I also sometimes feel as if education is casually gaslighting everything and everybody involved. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Chalkboard Chats. My name is Henry. I'm a life coach for teachers and a part time English teacher. I've created this channel to talk all things teaching and everything in support of teachers. Today, I wanted to share with you basically the reason why I've started this channel because I have noticed how many teachers are about to be burned out, how education is putting us basically in a corner with all the pressure, none of the help, all of the expectations, and no support. I have gone after schools, I have gone up to schools, I've gone to HR, I've gone to basically everybody up in management and I've shared with them how we were struggling, how difficult some things were, that we needed help. I've asked for support when I was overwhelmed. The response was always something along the lines of, "Oh, we're so sorry. We can't help with this. We cannot change, the new software. So you just, take your time and get used to it." I've also had one company say that, sorry, that's my dog. I've had one school company, say that they, instead of actively trying to help the teachers in the job, they would just throw another party to show the support, show the appreciation of the teachers. And I was like, I don't think everybody realizes how hard it is for us, how difficult this situation is, how almost impossible this industry has made it for us because we are in a position where we have no say, we have no input, we have no influence on like the policies and the rules, changes, the curriculum and the syllabus, the books that we use, everything is basically decided for us. We don't have a say in any of how we treat the students. We don't have a say in getting students out of the classroom. So, for example, if I try to discipline a student for their behavior, I cannot have the consequence be that they can't join my class anymore because that's not in my power. I have to be very careful what the consequences are because I cannot get myself in trouble with admin because they need to talk to the parents. And if the parents don't agree with it, they look at me and saying, "Hey, you're the problem here." And of course, not the student. We're basically put in this corner with all the expectations, none of the rights. So many things are changed without our consent. We're not being consulted for anything. And the expectations are just building and building and building. Now, that's one thing. On top of that, I also sometimes feel as if education is casually gaslighting everything and everybody involved. The principle of education is you go to a school to learn so that you can have the knowledge to later on do a job or perform a skill. Therefore, better equipped to do that. That is like the whole idea behind it, but that's the theory. But in practice, it's actually the students, the parents pay as a customer, as a client, and the school provides a service. But the point of going to this school is to get a grade. And we don't look at the knowledge that they are getting, we're looking at the grades they're getting. And the point of education is to get good grades. At least that's the rhetoric, that's the conversation that we have. That's the narrative that we have about education. So kids go to school and parents are like, "Yeah, you need to get good grades." We don't talk about the knowledge anymore. It's just focus on the grade. So what does the school do? If a kid fails, they're looking at the teacher. They're like, "Can you change the grade?" And we're like, "No." No, of course not. What's the point? What's the point of giving them a test in the first place? The test that's supposed to test the knowledge. But then if they fail, we have the power all of a sudden to change the grade. What are we doing? But it's all like very hush hush and nobody's talking about this. And I'm just a bit like, we are losing it, I think. I think this is no wonder parents are mad at the teacher that the kid is getting bad grades because they have now given the responsibility of Not really the learning, not the studying, not the knowledge. No, the getting a good grade. The narrative is the teacher gives grades, not the student knows and shows their knowledge and they earn a grade. No, no, no. It's now our active verb where we give it, as if we look at the student and we're like, yeah, I like you, you get a good grade. Oh, I don't like you, you don't get a good grade. What the hell is happening? We have this friction with the school where we look at, this is what we're supposed to do, this is what we're hired to do, but you ask us to do this? Are you serious? We have no voice, we have no power. I have been asking management, I have been telling it, at some point I was yelling it, doesn't matter. We have no power, we have no say in it, in how this is all run, how we are treated, how the clients are treated, how we're supposed to do this. So I'm now, this is my 10th, no, next year or end of October, so 2 more months, and then I'm in my 11th year of teaching in education. I've come to the realization that nobody's going to do this for us. Nobody's going to help us. Nobody's going to change education. Nobody is going to. Politicians are always looking at education and they're like, yeah, but it's like this country cannot stay behind other countries, and other countries do better in education than us, and we can't have that. So let's change it again. Let's look at the science. Let's do this again. And now, teachers, you are on top of this. And I'm like, nobody's doing it for us. Nobody is really out there and supporting us. So we have to DIY it. We have to do it ourselves because this is not sustainable. And nobody is going to make changes that are in our favor. It is never in our favor. All the changes that I've had experienced over the last 10 years were always with the student in mind, which is, I think, great. But if it's only the students in mind and always the changes are so fast, so rapid, one after the other, we can't keep up. It is detrimental to everybody involved, because if the teacher cannot keep up, if the teacher is tired and exhausted and almost burnt out, we have nothing to give. We have nothing to teach. We are just barely there, and we are just getting through the hour instead of focusing on how can I squeeze out the most out of this subject so that they have the best opportunity to learn. We have to do it ourselves. We have to DIY this. We have to make some changes ourselves so that it is sustainable for us. Step one is literally saying we have to stop participating in this blame game that everybody is doing in education. The parents are blaming us. Schools are blaming us. We are blaming the company. We are blaming the school. We are looking at admin. We are looking at management. Then we are blaming the student. Gen Z, look at how awful they're behaving. Look at what the phone has done to their attention span. Talking about, the iPhone, the screen generation. And we're blaming them. We're like, you're making my life so difficult. Look at what they're doing. Look at how they're treating them. We blame the parents. We're like, gentle parenting has ruined everything. The only thing that we get from that is a feeling of justification why we are miserable. And we don't get out of it. We don't get to a solution, because the only solution in this blame game is if other people change, if other people treat her differently. So the only way out of this blaming circle, if we see it as the blame game that it is, and we're like, unsubscribing. I will not take the blame, and I will not blame anymore. I will only hold myself responsible for all the things that I have control over. I have control over what I say, I have control over what I do, and I have control over what I think and how I feel. That is it. That is the only responsibility I am willing to take. So that means everybody else can put the blame to the side. But we have to be the first people to say no more of this blame game. We are done. The reason why I think it's so important that it's us, because we're the teachers. We can teach other people. That is the whole point of our job. So if we can teach other people how to treat this, how to treat us, how to do education, we are the ones who can make the change. Nobody else is going to do it for us. I've tried. It doesn't work that way. Nobody's going to change education for us. But we, the teachers, because we are the teachers, we can teach others how to be in education. So, here is what I mean by that. I will take full responsibility for what is taught, what is said, what is discussed. I will not take responsibility for what the students learn, when the students learn, if the students learn. I will take full on responsibility for every drop that I squeeze out of the topic. I go into this class, I teach the English language, so I teach a grammar point, and I go into this class thinking, you are going to say this grammar point, let's say the past simple, you're going to use the past simple in so many sentences that tonight you go to bed with a past simple sentence in your mind, period. That is how I approach teaching. I focus on the teaching. I don't focus on the student. The student are just there to soak it up. And if they're not, here are my classroom management rules. I give them that responsibility back. So I've had a parent contact the school and said, hey, my kid didn't do well in the last test. And I know this kid used to do amazing in the past, then did the test was quite challenging, and now I think he passed the test, so he has moved the level up, but isn't doing so well. So the parent was like, hey, what's happening, what's going on? I said, well, the kid has not done his homework in the last 3 months, 2 months, and he shows up without a book. I told him that, and then admin came to me and they were like, oh, well, what can you do? I was like, there's nothing that I can do. He has to do the work. He has to do the homework. He has to show up with the books. And if the parent really wants to help, get the kid to talk about it, read about it, get some books, get to write about it, do all the things. There's nothing that I can do. I cannot make this kid magically remember all the things. So I've given them all the responsibility back. And it was funny. She was like, oh, I'll assign him tutoring. I was like, okay. She said, do you think it will work? I was like, time will tell. If he does the work, it will work. If he doesn't do the work, it won't work. How do I know what he's going to do? So I gave them all that responsibility back. The next lesson, he showed up with all the homework done, even the extra stuff that we assign them now, and with all the books. And I was like, see, here we go. But that was a very important conversation to have with admin, where I drew the line and said, look, this is in my control. All of this other stuff is out of my control. So you can ask me, but we're not getting any further with it. There's nothing that I can do to make this kid remember the vocabulary any better. So that made it very clear. But admin, where I work, is often like giving the responsibility to the teacher. And the parents are often the same, where they're like, okay, my kid is failing. What are you going to do? And I'm always like, you do realize that we're testing the knowledge and that the student has to do the learning. We're leading horses to the water. If the horse is not thirsty, the horse shall not drink. If the horse is not interested in water, the horse will not drink. I can only do the leading. I cannot force the horse to drink. And it's like we magically forgot how this works. Did we all forget how education works? That you go there to learn, to get the knowledge, which, by the way, the knowledge isn't a secret. If you didn't learn anything in class, if you were distracted, or if you were too tired, if your head wasn't in the right place, you didn't miss out on a once in a lifetime opportunity. No, you go home, you open the syllabus, and they can DIY it. So I'm like, why is this such a difficult thing to grasp? What is in our capabilities, what is in our responsibilities, what we can have control over, and all the other things that we don't. And I'm sometimes a little bit flabbergasted how easily other teachers take on that responsibility, where they're like, oh, my students are failing and I'm upset. I'm like, why are you upset? If the students are failing, it is their failure. Instead of being upset about it, see this as an opportunity for them to experience what it is like to fail and to, for them, take responsibility for it. What was the knowledge that they didn't know? How do they now show up for the next part of it? How do they move on to this? And we need to show education. I think it's our duty almost as teachers to teach everybody what education is and how this works. Because so many parents, so many students, so many people involved are very confused. They forgot what it is like. They forgot what it means to take responsibility. And we just need to teach them. We just need to remind them that this is how it works. And we can do that if we stop participating in the blame game. So that also means that we cannot point fingers at the students and say, you make me miserable. You make my life difficult. You make it impossible for me to teach. We have to take responsibility for how we feel. So if a student is misbehaving and we feel bad about it, we have to look internally, not at the student. The student, of course, they're going to misbehave. They're kids. Of course, they're going to cheat. Of course, they're going to talk over you. Of course, they don't have any respect for their elders. I don't remember who it was. Either Socrates or Plato. One of them didn't write anything down, and the other one did. One of them wrote how he was flabbergasted by the new generation. Yes, so many years ago, we were already looking at the new generation and thinking, oh my goodness. Our grandparents were looking at the same. I remember my grandparents talking about my generation, how different we were. My parents doing the exact same thing, talking about how my life is so different from theirs. We can continue this cycle, of course. I mean, we see all the things, how different they are, how disrespectful they are, how impossible it is for them to keep their attention because they grow up with the screen, or how difficult it is for them to, have empathy or to socialize because of the pandemic and the lockdowns. We can look at the new generation and say, wow, you guys are so different. But then we're no better than all the other generations that did the exact same thing before us. So I think it's time to stop doing that and say, yes, I am here for you, new generation. You have so many other challenges that we didn't have to deal with, and I am here to support you, instead of looking down at them and blaming them for our problems. No, 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 no. We signed up for this job. That means I get all the bad kids with all the good kids. I get all the terrible behavior with all the wonderful and joyous behavior. That's what we signed up for. So I suggest we all stop participating in this stupid juvenile blame game and we take responsibility for our own actions, our own thoughts, our own words, and how we feel. Because then we can show up as the teachers that education needs. Because everybody else is a little bit confused about how education works. So we need to take control. We need to step up and say, this is how this works. And if you want to learn, you have to do the work. That's it. That's what I have for you today. We are going to DIY it. Stay tuned on this channel because for November, I'm going to show you and share with you my whole DIY course. I've created this beautiful course. It's called the Tenacious Teacher Toolkit. And in it, I have all the tools to make and create this amazing teacher that you are, to uncover this teacher who is there underneath the frustration and the exasperation that is now prevalent in education. And I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.